Welcome. In front of me I have a CAT S62 Pro, and today I'll work over unboxing along with an overview of this device. Now, this is actually an interesting device, to be honest. I was not expecting this, so popping it straight open, I'm gonna get what I mean shortly. So let's, nothing in here. Paperwork, no one cares. Drop it to the side. More paperwork, as you can see, and a semi-eject tool in here. Again, straight to the side, because the start of the show is this phone here. Now, at the first glance, it looks like just a mediocre device. That's kind of how it looked like to me, but it's a little bit more than just that. Now, getting a look at what's inside, and here we got a charger. Now again, nothing really outstanding here. It's a 18-watt charger, along with a Type-C cable right here, so Type A to Type-C. It's a typical cable, nothing special. Like I said, the trend kind of continues here, but the phone itself right over here. Now I'm gonna zoom in. So from here, again, if I launch it, just quickly, there we go, brighten it up, boom, there we go. So nothing really special going on, as you can see, until you flip it over. Now, for a first glance, it looks like it has two sensors, but in all actuality, it actually has a 12 megapixel along with a thermal sensor, and that thermal sensor really made me light up. That is something that I haven't expected from a device, and something that I like to see, some kind of weird stuff that no other device has. And if you launch it, it works well. So give it a second. It is not the fastest phone, that is for sure, at least not when it comes down to, well, the thermal sensor right here. It does kind of have to have a second for it to actually catch up. But let's we'll grab something. What's a good thing that I can grab? I have a phone right here, so let's just drop it here. And well, probably not the best example here. I have a switch right here. Maybe this is a little bit warmer. Let me just see. Marginally, I would say. But at least on the camera, I can see that it is actually warmer than, for instance, the table itself. And you can see my hands just glowing there. Now, if you want, you can also turn on something like a meter right here, so it tells you the exact temperature. So apparently it is right now at 33°C, 32.7 around. I guess it just depends where you hover over. Also, if I just put in my hand, it's at, well, quite warm, 37.2. Now for me, I believe this is kind of normal. I am in a studio right now, which is closed, and it is fairly warm in here, so that's probably why. But setting that to the side, so if you bring up some other stuff that are actually, for instance, cold. So here we have just a knife. As you can see, it's at 30. So this camera is really cool. I really like the inclusion of some stuff like this. Now, I kind of would low-key like to see something like that on my phone. Maybe not something like this. I'm not a greatest fan of this tough-looking devices. This is, well, designed to be basically used probably on like constructions. So it is not really designed for me, but something that I sometimes wish that I have is a thermal camera, so I can check up some temperatures. I do a lot of stuff with computers. This phone would be just super convenient. Just whip it out, check the temperature if you're not sure of something. If you can basically get an image straight away, and it is really nice. Now I'm gonna stop a little bit, like just getting all excited about this and actually get into the specifications of it. So right at the front we have a display that is a 5.7 inch 1080p by 2160 IPS LCD display. Now the screen to body ratio isn't anything outstanding at 69. Nice. I would say 424 pixels per inch, so fairly decently packed, but that is because it is a 5.7 inch display. Also Gorilla Glass front, so it is tough, obviously. Also aluminum frame along with a not so impressive plastic back. So overall the phone is semi-built like a tank. As you can obviously see, this thing is not small, and comparing it to something like a Huawei Mate 20, disregard the fact that it's looked like it's been dropped multiple times. That is because it's been dropped multiple times, but you can see the size comparison and also the depth. So this is strictly a comparison. As you can see the thickness of those. Basically the CAT is almost twice as thick. So yeah, but it does seem like a tank. You could probably use this as a weapon if you wanted to, but yeah. Now moving on to the cameras, we already touched upon the one that was super excited, which is the the thermal one. But like I said, it also has a 12 megapixel selfie, or not selfie, but just a main shooter. And at the front right here you have a 8 megapixel shooter that shoots at 1080p 30 frames. The back one, same thing. So the cameras itself, as a normal cameras, aren't necessarily anything to brag about. It is primarily designed to be a work phone instead of a personal day-to-day use, all-around good phone. So keep that in mind. And when it comes down to the actual hardware of this device, it comes with a Snapdragon 660, 128 gigabytes built-in storage with 6 gigabytes RAM, plus expandable via SD cards. That's always nice to see. 4000 milliamp hour built-in battery. I would actually like to see a bigger battery, considering this device is fairly chunky, so bigger battery would have been better. It also has IP rating of 68, so it's water and dust resistant. Now when it comes down to water, it is up to 1.5 meters for about 35 minutes. That's at least what is advertised. So yeah, all that being said, the device lacks certain things. It is a CAT device, so obviously it has the panic buttons. It does also come with a Type-C port. There is no headphone jack, unfortunately, so that's a little bit of a shame. But like I said, the main part of this device, and probably why you would get it, is because of that thermal sensor, and it is one of the more convenient things I have seen on a phone. And it really made me just smile to see something innovative here. Even though I believe this is a second iteration of this device with a thermal camera. I haven't seen the first one. The only thing I'm basing it on is the fact that on the box it says that it's improved the thermal camera, so I assume this is the second version of it. And yeah, obviously there's not much more to say. It is a fairly stock Android, as you can clearly see. Just a quick, maybe couple of photos. Let's bring up my plant here. I'm not expecting anything outstanding here. I do like the fact that they didn't decide to include a bunch of useless sensors. Many manufacturers do that, so they would drop things like macro or depth sensors to the camera, which honestly they're useless. There is no need for them. This camera does seem to do okay photos, as you can maybe see right here. They are okay, fairly detailed, I would say. Not the best, but for a 12 megapixel lens, that is probably not even important. It does a respectable job at taking a photo. I would have expected it to be crap here, honestly, to be just any kind of lens dropped in here, come out blurry, but because the primary purpose of this device is most certainly the thermal sensor rather than the actual photos here. So it is fairly interesting phone. Now, like I said, It's not necessarily for everybody. Obviously, this is more of a work device that when you do some constructions and stuff like that, you will use that probably fairly often when you need it. It's most certainly not designed for just everyday Joe like me to be using it, even though I would find some use for that lens, the thermal one. The phone itself, rest of it just kind of falls off for me, which is a shame. And at, I believe it was at about $600 or something along those lines. This device isn't the cheapest for what it offers, but then when you take in consideration that thermal lenses aren't the cheapest ones, or thermal sensors I would say aren't the cheapest ones, this device seems to be in a fairly competitive price range here, especially if you're looking strictly just for a thermal camera. This comes with it as a bonus, I would say. So considering it's a thermal camera with a phone built into it, this is really nice pricing, honestly. And obviously there is nothing I can say to anybody that will change probably their mind if they want to purchase this or not. This is, like I said, a phone that construction workers or anybody who needs a thermal camera will get, and the people that just see it as a gimmick and want a good phone all around will just disregard this flat out because it lacks in a lot of other features. Honestly, I really like this device, even though I won't be using it. It's not for me really, and I probably wouldn't be able to utilize it to the fullest potential as other people will. I'm more accustomed to just having a nice looking phone with a bit better hardware, meaning just a faster device overall. I would really like to have just a thermal lens on my phone, but that's why this phone kind of falls off for me. But like I said, if you're in the market and you need a thermal lens, a thermal camera, then this phone is just really amazing for about $500, something like that, $500-600. This is really good device. That being said, if you found this very helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.